Hello students, I am Professor Sonal Gogri from Faculty of Business Administration, GLS BBA, GLS University. In the previous session, we talked about training and development and the difference between the two and the advantages of training and development to the organization as well as to the employees. In today's session, we shall do the methods of training. So in the first session, we will be talking about different methods of training, and the first two methods, that is job rotation and understudy. When you talk about methods and techniques of training, there are basically a lot of training methods like job rotation, coaching, internship, articleship, case study, role play, and many more methods. Usually these methods are categorized into two groups, as you can see, on the job training methods and off the job methods. So a multitude of methods of training are used to train employees, and they are categorized into two forms, on the job methods as well as off the job methods. On the job methods, they refer to the methods that are applied in the workplace while the employee is actually working. It is like on the job training, OJTs, on the job training methods, where trainees get a chance to learn while they earn. There are various methods. We will be talking on the job as well as off the job methods. Off the job methods are usually the methods where employees are learning away from the workplace. So they are not contributing directly to the work, but they are learning and developing the decision making skills away from the workplace. For example, university lectures. In our course, we shall be studying four methods of training. Out of them, the first two we shall be studying in this session. So the four methods are job rotation, understudy, apprenticeship, and vestibule training method. Talking about job rotation is the most basic method used to train operatives and frontline officers. So what is basically job rotation? Where people get an experience of learning different activities of the same job. The nature of the job remains the same. So let us understand the meaning of job rotation. Job rotation essentially involves placing employees in a series of jobs and monitoring their performance. It is the process of training employees by rotating them through a series of related jobs. It refers to moving employees from job to job. It adds variety and reduces boredom by allowing them to perform a variety of tasks. Let us see a few examples. Let us say that there is this frontline officer. There are three people who have been assigned three different tasks. The task one is drilling holes, second task is assembling of parts, and the third one is testing components. Here, as you can see, the first employee is working for first week. He is doing the drilling of holes. After he does this entire week, he learns how to do it. Abilities and skills of hole drilling is developed. And now the employee would be a little bored because he is doing the same task throughout the week. So now the next week he would be given something else, and here in the week 2 the employee is given a role of assembling parts. In this particular work, the challenge has been added, something else is being done from his routine. So yes, he is learning something new. And then in the next week he would be testing the components. This is usually also seen in service industries too. For example, in the bank frontline officers, there are different departments like loan department, credit card department, customer care service, helping center. So the frontline officers are usually rotated so that in a year or 2 years, the frontline officers learn all the basics of banking by learning, by doing, and by rotating of different assignments. So during each assignment, the employee performs the task that are evaluated and learn first-hand job challenges and rewards. When an activity is no longer challenging, the employee will be moved to another job at the same level. This is important. At the same level that requires similar skill sets. In case of job rotation, the employee performs different jobs of the same nature. So the nature of the job remains the same, the level remains the same, and therefore we can call this job rotation as horizontal in nature. It cannot be vertical job rotation, it is always horizontal at the same level and at same nature. So what could be the few advantages of this job rotation? Imagine you are working in an organization, आपको एक महीने काम दिया, फिर एक महीने बाद आपको कुछ और काम दिया, है ना, और इस तरह 6 महीने में you learn 3-4 different tasks in your job. क्या advantages हो सकते हैं इसके? So the first thing, you learn lot of things, you learn variety of different activities needed in the job. So the first is it adds variety and reduces boredom by allowing them to perform a variety of tasks through diversifying employees' activities. Right? Otherwise, employee will get bored, will not be able to learn something new, and this will become monotonous in nature. So job rotation adds variety and reduces boredom. Alleviates boredom and disinterest by facilitating the employees to develop rapport with a number of people. Provides challenges and opportunities to learn new things. It broadens employees' knowledge as well as skills. Since you are being rotated to different tasks, your knowledge increases, your skills increases, and therefore the employee gets more challenges and opportunities, and a learning environment is created. Job rotation facilitates multi-skilling, and employees with multi-skills, wide range of skills, give management more flexibility in scheduling work, adapting to changes, and filling vacancies. So there is the flexibility which management gets. Because the work is not dependent on a single person. If a single person is unable to come to a work due to absenteeism, then the management is flexible because there are other people who are ready, who have those skills of doing the work. Therefore, management gains flexibility in scheduling the work, adapting to changes, and filling of vacancies when someone is absent. Employees become competent in several jobs rather than only one. Provides employees with immediate stimulation and networking that are often used to improve employee performance, and provides the organization's high potential and high performing employees with the frontline experience and networks that become the foundation for leading the organization in future. Since people have been rotated, the potential of people increases, and therefore we can say organization's potential is high as well as performance of employee increases. Moving ahead, since every method has advantages, it also has disadvantages. So job rotation does have a lot of disadvantages too, and the first is training costs tend to rise. Why the costs are rise? Because every time the employee has been shifted to some other job, he has to be trained for that same job, जो already किसी को आता था. Now you are shifting it. So of course the training is high. Work is disrupted as rotated employees take time to adjust to the new setup. You have been, an employee is habituated with a work of a routine nature for a month, 2 months, and so. Now that employee has been shifted, rotated to another job. So there is a process. This transition process takes time to adjust. The employee has to unlearn the past things, will have to adapt to the new things, learn and habituate themselves to a new setup. So it is definitely a time-consuming method. It can demotivate intelligent and ambitious trainees who seek specific responsibilities in their chosen specialty. So you cannot achieve specialization through job rotation, because job rotations, the purpose is multitasking. Frequent shifting of employees across the job causes interruption in job routine, because the transition gets affected. So there is an interruption in the routine of the job. Employees may feel alienated when they are rotated from job to job, and employees who look for more challenging assignments may feel frustrated. So it is not for people who are looking for challenges and opportunities. And therefore, Herzberg has given a definition saying, has quoted that job rotation is merely substituting one zero for another zero. Since it is horizontal job rotation, it is not vertical. So Herzberg has mentioned that it is substituting one zero for another. Though this particular rotation method has its own advantages and disadvantages, but when it comes to training of frontline officers, training operatives, training technicians, job rotation has to be done. There is no other option, because the employee needs to learn the various aspects of a job before he or she can learn to take important decisions pertaining to the nature of the job. So job rotation is particularly common with management trainees. Such trainees are fresh from colleges and universities, and rotational assignments help them understand the basics of business. Therefore, job rotation, and there's an example of HUL, Hindustan Unilever Limited. Job rotation is mandatory over there. A typical manager is moved from one job to another, tea estates, chemicals, consumer goods and dairy products, so that the employee gets the basic idea of management. I hope the job rotation part is clear. Now we'll move ahead with the next method, and that is understudy. Now, what is understudy method? Basically, very lamely, it has been said that studying or learning under your senior direct supervisor is understudy. That's true. When you learn directly under your senior, this is called as an understudy method. In many times, it is called as coaching method because you directly learn under your coach. The most familiar on-the-job training is the coaching or understudy method. In this on the job, this is also on the job because you are learning directly on the job. While you are working, you are learning. So in this on the job method, the trainee works directly with a senior manager or with a person he or she is to replace. The latter is responsible for the trainee's coaching. So where is understudy used? Let's say my senior is probably planning to leave or planning to retire, then that vacancy has to be filled. So then there is a person that senior would be training to the junior, giving them all the tasks, train them so that the junior is now ready to replace the position. So again I read this, the trainee works directly with the senior manager or with the person he or she is to replace. Normally the understudy relieves the executive of certain responsibilities, giving the trainee a chance to learn the new job. Here an experienced worker or the trainee supervisor trains the employee. It is supervised or trained under a direct supervision of the direct senior or direct supervisor. This may simply involve observing the, how is this training done? So simply observing the supervisor. You learn by their experience, you learn by the way they are working. So observing the supervisor or preferably having the supervisor or job expert show the new employee the ropes step by step. In this method, a superior gives training to subordinate as his understudy. As I said, it is like studying directly under someone. So it is an understudy, like an assistant to a manager or director in a film. You would have heard of this term, director, assistant director. So the assistant director learns from the experience of the main director. The subordinate learns through experience and observation by participating in handling day-to-day problems. Basic purpose is to prepare subordinate for assuming the full responsibilities and duties. Why is this understudy done? So that he or she is ready to replace the senior one who is planning to leave, the outgoing employee, right? And therefore, it is important that the person assumes the full responsibilities and duties. In understudy approaches to management training, the incoming or current employee works directly with the senior manager or with the person he or she is to replace. This training can go on for weeks to ensure proper training with the intent that the new employee will become the new manager. In most cases, the understudy takes on the predecessor's responsibility gradually. This allows the trainee a chance to learn the job. So now we are clear what is understudy. You are studying or learning directly under the senior, your direct senior, direct supervisor, just like assistant director, assistant manager, and so on. So of course, this is an on-the-job training method, and since this is a training method, it will also have its own advantages and disadvantages. So the advantages are, companies that implement these methods tend to have easier transitions during the change in management. The transition is easier. Why? One is leaving, the another is coming, but the one who is joining, the trainee has now learned, has assumed full responsibilities. So the employee organization will not be affected if the senior manager leaves. So the transition is easier when the change is happening. New managers feel more confident in taking over their responsibilities because they have shadowed their predecessors and have a better knowledge of the history, current state and future direction of the company. Coaching and understudy training provides excellent on-the-job training for current employees and enhances leadership skills and productivity. It also keeps the momentum going even when the personnel transitions take place. Now, this is an important thing. The organization's momentum is going on a continuous basis. Disadvantages. This type of management training requires that the outgoing manager take extra time to train the incoming employee, which can take away from daily responsibilities and tasks. So now the extra time has to be borne by the outgoing employee. But of course, since one person is planning to leave, the another one is joining in, the productivity would be low because the training period is going on. And taking out this extra time may slow down the productivity. The method is also expensive because the company may have to pay 2 higher salaries simultaneously while the new employee is getting trained. So it is also an expensive method. But in certain cases, when senior positions need to be filled, you have no other option but the understudy is the only option. So I'll ask you a few questions before I conclude the session. First one, in job rotation, when an activity is no longer challenging, the employee would be moved to another job at the dash level that has similar skill requirements. Same, higher, or lower? It would be same level. Why? Because it usually happens at a horizontal level. As I said, the job nature has to be the same. Imagine if it was higher or lower level, then it would be called as promotion or demotion. In case of training, the same nature of job has to be trained. Second one, employees looking for more challenging assignments like the method of job rotation. Why we do job rotation? To alleviate boredom, to give some interest and so on. But people who are looking for challenges, opportunities, specialization would not like job rotation, because remember Herzberg's point, it is substituting one zero for another. So people looking for challenging assignments may not like job rotation. So the answer is false. Third, in the dash method, the incoming or current employee works directly with the senior manager or under the person he or she is to replace. So it is understudy, we just finished, studying directly under someone as an assistant manager, assistant director, working directly with your senior manager, जिसको आप replace करने वाले हो, the method is understudy. So I hope this is clear. The concepts of two methods are clear. In this particular session, I have taken up job rotation and job understudy. In the next session, we will be talking about the other two methods of training, that is apprenticeship and vestibule method of training. Thank you.